MAGA Mike Johnson was just chased out of Congress by reporters for his insane new shutdown announcement. After the longest government shutdown in American history, several Democrats in the Senate have agreed to break the deadlock with a bipartisan bill. And now, Mike Johnson is threatening to stab everyone in the back the second the shutdown ends. I didn't think MAGA Mike could get any more despicable, but I stand corrected after today. So keep watching to see how the shutdown bill could go up in flames, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. So as you may have heard, the government shutdown will end this week as several Democratic senators abandoned the cause and are working with Republicans to pass their spending bill. After putting up a historic fight, just a few Democrats with no backbones are giving up on fighting the MAGA agenda.
At 41 days and counting, the longest government shutdown in U.S. history is not over yet, but the end could be in sight.
A group of Democrats and one independent crossed the aisle last night to make a deal with Republicans. It still needs final approval, but the government could reopen as soon as this week. Congressional correspondent Lisa Desjardins has more.
In the Senate today, a question of time. Majority Leader John Thune pushing for speed.
Mr. President, after 41 days, I'm grateful to be able to say that we are close to getting the government reopened. And again, I ask all of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, of both parties, to make it possible for us to quickly pass this bill.
This after a breakthrough last night.
On this vote, the yeas are 60 and the nays are 40.
A shutdown deal getting exactly the votes needed to get over a Senate hurdle. 7 Democrats and 1 independent voted with Republicans to advance the idea.
It was our judgment, after 6 weeks, going on 7 weeks of this shutdown, that path wasn't working.
We can open the government and we can still fight to address this looming healthcare crisis.
Now, I'd love to spend the rest of the day talking about these Democrats who are literally abandoning millions of Americans to skyrocketing healthcare costs, but there's an even crazier story behind this deal. You see, as a part of the agreement to reopen the government, Senate Republicans promised Democrats that they would negotiate on lowering healthcare costs next month. But before the deal has even been signed, Mike Johnson is hinting that he plans on stabbing Democrats in the back at the first chance he gets. Johnson started off this week by calling all congressmen back into Washington as soon as possible. After telling Republicans to take a month-and-a-half-long vacation, Johnson got up on the stage today and complained that Democrats weren't in Congress.
So, air travel has been grinding to a halt in many places. And as of Sunday, nearly half of all domestic flights and U.S. flights were either canceled or delayed. And it's a very serious situation. So I'm saying that by way of reminder. I'm stating the obvious to all my colleagues, Republicans and Democrats in the House. You need to begin right now returning to the Hill. We have to do this as quickly as possible. Now, we look forward to the government reopening this week so Congress can get back to our regular legislative session. We have a lot of business to do, as you all know, and we will be working in earnest. There'll be long days and long nights here for the foreseeable future to make up for all this lost time that was imposed upon us. I want to close with something that's important. I think it's important to say that this is genuine. I mean this sincerely. We applaud the 7 Senate Democrats and 1 independent senator who did the right thing. They decided to put principle over their personal politics. And my urgent plea of all my colleagues in the House, and that means every Democrat in the House, is to think carefully, pray, and finally do the right thing and help us to bring an end to the pain of the American people. This has gone on too long. Too many people have suffered, and it's long overdue. That's the update I wanted to give you this morning. There are probably lots of questions, but I'm going to get a lot of my own questions answered later today, so stay tuned for more.
I seriously cannot stand Mike Johnson. He's actually complaining that Congress is behind on work because of the shutdown, but he was the one who kept Congress closed. Congress doesn't close during a shutdown, but Mike Johnson sent all Republicans home on purpose. And if that wasn't bad enough, he's now planning on killing the healthcare negotiations the Republicans agreed to in the Senate. This began yesterday, where Mike Johnson said that Democrats told him that he had to pass their Obamacare subsidies. But this is not true. The Senate agreed to negotiate next month, but Mike Johnson is already trying to lay the groundwork for making Democrats sound unreasonable. He then even says that he isn't part of the Senate negotiations, so why should he bother to help reopen the government? Johnson is literally the most disgraceful speaker Congress has ever had.
He's offered them a vote. You know what they told him in response? No, we need you to guarantee the outcome of that vote. Well, that's ridiculous. That can't be done. No, because we did our job, and I'm not part of the negotiation. The House did its job on September 19th. I'm not promising anybody anything. I'm going to let this process play out. I'll tell you what they wanted. I'll tell you what Schumer and Jeffries wanted. In fact, Chuck Schumer said it publicly and decried that Thune and I would not go in a back room with them and make a four corners agreement on Obamacare subsidies. And I said, there's no way. That it was never possible or appropriate.
Now, it was because of these comments that Mike Johnson was quite literally rushed by reporters who all had one question for him. Will he allow the House to vote on extending the Obamacare tax credits if the Senate votes on them? And instead of stopping to answer anyone, Johnson dances around the questions and makes a beeline for the doors.
Can you guarantee whatever the bill passes that Senate on ACA, you'll give it a vote in the House?
Look, we're going to do in the House what we always do. That is a deliberative process. I mean, we have to find consensus on whatever their proposal is. As you know, I do not guarantee the outcome of legislation or dates or deadlines or anything. I have to consensus among the members, and that is what we will do. But it's not exactly as we've always done, exactly as I always do.
But it's not guaranteed.
No, I don't. I can't guarantee it.
Now, I know Mike Johnson is full of non-committal answers, but saying that you will have to wait and see is basically code for I don't care about this, which is hinted at even more when he got to his next destination. You see, Mike Johnson was rushing past reporters because he was actually on his way to an interview with CNN's Jake Tapper. And during this late afternoon interview, Mike Johnson was asked point blank if he would even bring a vote on healthcare in the House, not support a vote, just allow it to happen. And he says, and I quote, "I'm not committing to it or not committing to it," which literally makes no sense.
There are a lot of ideas that we'd like to bring back to the table because that will actually solve the problem and not just subsidize insurance companies.
So you're not committing to bringing up a bill that deals with the Obamacare subsidies before they expire?
I'm not committing to it or not committing to it. What I'm saying is that we do a deliberative process. That's the way this always works, and we have to have time to do that, and we will in a bipartisan fashion.
If something passes the Senate, it would only pass on a bipartisan basis.
Yeah.
Would you bring it up?
Well, the bill that's going to pass
to extend the subsidies, that later vote.
I can't commit to anything that hasn't even passed through the Senate yet. I mean, I've never done that. I'm very consistent. I've been Speaker for over 2 years, and one of the reasons I've held the gavel is because I don't go out and predetermine outcomes. It's a member-driven institution, as it should be, and I'm really insistent about that. We got to get back to regular order, and that's what we're doing here.
Mike Johnson might not want to say it until after the government reopens, but it's clear that he plans on tanking any vote on healthcare subsidies. Mike Johnson has no problem watching Americans lose their ability to get healthcare and has no problem stabbing Senate Democrats right in the back. Now, I'm all for the government getting opened back up, but these 7 Democrats who abandoned the cause are betting on the word of people like Mike Johnson, and they will lose big time. As far as I'm concerned, a promise from Republicans is about as worthless as the prayers Mike Johnson offers, instead of helping to fix any of America's problems.